guys, welcome back to my channel. So I just finished watching episode 2 of Ahsoka. My reaction will be under my YouTube memberships, so go over there and make sure that you go and check that out. If you are not a member, I encourage you to go become a member right now. I've got 2 levels of memberships over there. Level 1 is for $2.99 and you get priority replies from me, special polls and live streams. Level 2 is for $4.99. You get everything that level 1 has, plus you get all of my reactions to all of the shows I watch, any movies I watch, and all of my uncut Try Not to Laughs. So, I forgot to mention in my first review for episode 1 that Sabine Wren is actually a Mandalorian. And I called it out because when she was at her place, I was kind of looking, at different aspects of the scene or whatever. And then she kind of looked under her table and I was like, was she a Mandalorian? Because I noticed the helmet. And of course, yes, she is one. And that's probably why it was hard for Ahsoka to train her. She was a Mandalorian. But anyway, so Sabine is still alive, of course. I figured she was still going to be alive. So, she's in, I guess, what looks like a hospital or a room where they aid them or whatever. So anyway, Balin has the map and he puts it on this pillar type of thing. And then Morgan comes and she kind of opens it up and shows him what the galaxy looks like and what their destination is. And she says that Thrawn is, speaking to her from wherever he may be or whatever the case is. And so his apprentice is just a little scared and asks him, what happens if we do come across Thrawn? And he's just like, well, for some, it's going to mean war. For others, it's going to be a new beginning. And she was like, what about us? And he's just like, power. So it seems like Ahsoka worries him, but I can't tell how bad he really is. I'm assuming he's like really bad because of course he's, not with Ahsoka. So anyway, Ahsoka goes to Sabine's house to find answers. And she's doing her thing and she's trying to figure out where everything is. And there was an android there that she killed. But she sees that the little hologram of Ezra is still there. So after that, let's see. So, because I do write notes, you guys. I hate forgetting what I want to say. So apparently Morgan came from, I guess, a place called Corellia, which is in the Republic. But she had all these other facilities too that she was basically making these like dangerous androids and having people who are still down with the Republic, I guess. And she was just like running a whole lot of stuff. Like Ahsoka and the general went to go find some answers to try to figure out where the android came from. So the android that Ahsoka killed, she, used her lightsaber to knock his head off. So she brought that head back to Sabine. Sabine, put up a whole bunch of wires and everything and found out where he came from. And she was like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like a real dangerous android. And so everything is kind of pointing to Morgan and where she came from. So the general and Ahsoka went to go find some answers. And when she went, the guy, I forgot his name, he was giving her a hard time. But whenever like the general pressed the issue, like, you need to give us some answers, he would be like, all right, can you do this? Can you do this? And you can tell that he was just like under Morgan's spell or whatever, under her commands and stuff, because everything that he didn't want to open or everything that seemed to be classified, she was just like, I'm the general. Nothing's classified to me, So they had this transport on this location, and those deadly androids were making its way, I guess, to her or to the galaxy or the planet that they were from. So they went to try to stop it, and when they were asking questions, he didn't want to answer them. But then one of the androids was just like, oh, I know what that android, I know who that android is. That android tried to stop me a couple of rotations ago. So this android was just basically giving them all the answers that they were looking for. And so at that point, you saw that the transport was, making its way out. And so now Ahsoka and the general went to go stop it. And that's when you see Ahsoka, and we saw the trailer for this, where Ahsoka gets into this fight with one of the androids and this other. It doesn't look like an android, but we don't know who's under the mask either. But that's when we see the dual saber. The bad android, or the bad guy, has the dual saber. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool fight scene. And basically Ahsoka just runs him out, because they leave on their ship while the general is trying their best to put a tracker on the transport that just left. And Chop, who's kind of cute little, robot that's on there, cute little android, he ends up putting the tracker on the ship, so now they know where the ship is going. But in the meantime, we see a little bit of how, the general is trying to convince Ahsoka to let Sabine come back as her apprentice, and she's like, she's not ready. And then Wu Yang is trying to convince Sabine to still practice with her lightsaber. She's like, oh, that's Ezra's lightsaber. And he's just like, no, you tweaked it, so it's yours. And you need to basically start practicing, because you're only wasting your own time, type of thing. So they're both kind of talking to them and trying to bring them together to be master and apprentice again. And so eventually it does happen, because like I said, we find out that Sabine is a Mandalorian, and Sabine is now taking, the android's advice, and she's kind of putting all her Mandalorian stuff out, and she's getting herself amped up, and she ends up cutting her hair. That's when we see her with the short hair in one of the trailers, or one of the TV spots. And so she ends up seeing a hologram of Sabine telling her that she's ready in her Mandalorian outfit and everything. And so Ahsoka's just like, okay. So Ahsoka goes to go get her, and they're like, all right, we got some work to do. We gotta go find them. So they're on the ship, and they're getting ready to go find this transport. And then it's kind of solidified then, because Ahsoka looks over at her. She's just like, take us out, Padawan. And Sabine kind of looks at her like, okay, so now they're once again master and apprentice. So now I'm assuming that Sabine has to prove herself to Ahsoka in order to be what she wanted to be then, because again, Ahsoka walked away from her. So they never finished their training. Kind of like what happened with Ahsoka and Anakin. So we'll see what happens, but now they are after this transport. I'm assuming that Sabine has to, prove herself to Ahsoka now that she's her apprentice again. Also, there's this question of whether or not Ezra is still alive. Oh, Morgan. So there's the holograms again with Balin, his apprentice, and the other third person, which we don't know who that is. And Morgan is basically asking him, like, are you something's up with you, like you're afraid of her, something like that. He was like, it's a concern type of thing. And so she's like, well, what do you see? And he's telling her, like, she's close, she's really close, so she's after us. So that's where that ends. So we all know that, of course, Ahsoka's gonna go after them. They're tracked. So we'll see what happens. But so far, I definitely am enjoying this. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you guys watched it as well. And if you haven't and you do, come back and let me know what you guys think if you enjoyed this. But leave your comments down below. Let me know if you enjoyed my review. And make sure that you go over there and become a member so you can see my reaction to this. And, of course, on a bunch of other shows and movies that I have as well. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and hit that notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles!